This is the Hyundai Ioniq 6 Max all-wheel drive. Battery size 77.4 kilowatt hour. Range 519 kilometers as claimed on the WLTP testing cycle. What's that you say? Range anxiety? Can I balik kampung with this? Wait, what if I run out of power? What if there are no chargers around? Chargers? Where we're going, we don't need chargers. Hi everyone, Greg from WapCar, and this is a story of quashing range anxiety. So, I've been talking to a lot of people about EVs, and every time we do, the subject comes up is range anxiety. Is there enough range? Is there not enough range? What about infrastructure? And frankly, it's a valid argument point, but unless your daily commute involves you going from KL to Penang, that's not a big problem, right? So for today's story, the premise is very simple, okay? Picture this. You live in the Klang Valley, you work in the Klang Valley, and once in a blue moon, you need to have a work meeting right outside the Klang Valley, slightly further out. Let's say Seremban, alright? So your plan is to leave early in the morning, get to Seremban, have that work meeting, since we're there, might as well have lunch, double back before rush hour builds, all on one charge. And to make things as realistic as possible, there's no such thing as hypermiling, okay? We'll start with over 80% charge in KL, 2 people on board, and some luggage in the 401 litre boot. The frunk only has 14.5 litres, so it's close to useless. So, point A to B and back to A. Ready? Let's go! Inside the Ioniq 6 is very much like the Ioniq 5 in that it has a very minimalistic approach. The most obvious elements being the blank steering wheel and this rather straightforward dash design. So the best part about having a minimalistic approach is that it really frees up the interior visually and adds practicality. I mean, on the door and on the center tunnel, you've got tons of spaces to throw your keys, your wallet, your smart tags, your sunglasses, and even a large water bottle. The window controls have also been moved from the door to the center tunnel to free up knee room around this area, while the gear selector stock is actually by the steering column. The instrument cluster and the touchscreen for the infotainment system both measure 12.3 inches and are placed in a single housing, much like the Ioniq 5. As expected, we get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but via a wired connection, and the sound system consists of an 8-speaker Bose setup. Actually, kind of think of it, in terms of kit count and toys and what you get, the all-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive models are quite closely matched, with the only difference on the inside being the sunroof and the 20-inch wheels on the outside. And so we begin our journey with the car giving us an estimated range of 349 kilometers and 81% battery capacity left. So speaking of range and battery and numbers, let's get the numbers out of the way. So the Ioniq 6 sits on the eGMP platform, which allows us to get 800 volt electrical architecture, which in turn gets us the charging speeds of 350 kilowatts DC. What this means in plain English is that if you plug it in at this speed, you go from 10% to 80% state of charge in 18 minutes. But more importantly, you get 100 kilometers of range in thereabouts 5 minutes. The Ioniq 6 Max all-wheel drive has a motor at each axle for a combined power output of 325 horsepower and 605 Newton meters of torque. But what's more impressive is the car's aerodynamic performance. So the Ioniq 6 has a drag coefficient of 0.21, making it one of the most aerodynamically efficient cars in production. For reference, the Porsche Taycan, that has a figure of 0.22. On the move, what does it feel like? First off, it's very quiet and refined. I mean, EVs in general are quiet, right? But here we have an acoustic windshield and double glazed windows. And it's so quiet and so refined that in our own testing, we recorded a figure of 63 decibels at 110 kilometers per hour. Now, remember those power figures I mentioned earlier on? Yeah. We tested it and we got a 0 to 100 time of just 4.9 seconds, while top speed is 185 kilometers per hour. Of course, no sensible owner is ever going to drive it like that, but you know, if you need the speed, it's nice to know that it's there, served up instantly. What is more important is roll-on acceleration, and in an EV, that will never be a concern. Exhibit A. Yes, yes. Okay, as for handling, I mean, it's not a light car, no EV ever is, and at just over 2 tons, it actually steers and goes around bends quite nimbly. I would say it hides its weight quite well. Steering feel itself, it's quite vague, I'm not gonna lie, it's very, very vague, but you know, owners in this application, they won't really care because whatever is light and easy to maneuver is exactly what they want. Ride quality, for the most part, is very good. It's quite softly sprung, so on highways it's quite pliant. Although with that said, I wish that the low speed ride quality could be better, especially over very nasty surfaces. Now, on your balik kampung drives, on the highway, the usual suite of ADAS features is going to make it a very easy and relaxing drive. The adaptive cruise control, or what Hyundai calls the smart cruise control with stop-go, plus the lane keeping assist, works very well. It's very well calibrated, it's not jumpy, and it's going to make very short work out of long drives. So before we go for our theoretical meeting, there are 2 features I want to show you. Number 1 being the remote smart parking assist. If you can't be bothered to park your car, just let the car do it for you. So how does this work? You drive along at a slow enough pace, you hold down the parking camera button and the car will scan for available parking lots. Once it's found a parking lot, you can then select the type of parking, remote or smart parking. Mind you, it only works for perpendicular or parallel parking. Alright, so in our case, you select the remote parking option and then you step out. And once you're outside, you hold down either one of these 2 buttons and the car will just park itself. Voila, you're done. Feature number 2, the V2L function, vehicle to load. So think of your car as doubling up as a giant power bank. Now in my case, I'll need to iron the creases out of my jacket before my meeting. So plug in my handheld steam iron and then get to ironing. And lo and behold, our theoretical meeting gets cancelled because higher-ups always have something more important to do, like play golf or complain about not playing golf because other VIPs are occupying the course. In any case, since we're here in Seremban already, it's lunchtime. Let me show you one of my favourite haunts whenever I'm in town. So if you're a fan of curry mee, then the name Asia Laksa should be very, very familiar to you. And they're basically known for their curry base, which has lots of santan, and it's a good mix of sweet and spicy. Another thing I like about this place is the chicken. See, most curry laksa places, the chicken comes out a bit hard and a bit dry, but not here. Here it's very soft and very tender. And you know, according to locals, these guys have been serving up curry laksa since the 60s. So if Porsche can take that amount of time to sort the 911 out, these guys should be able to take the same amount of time to sort the chicken out. So with lunch done and dusted, I think it's time we zip back up to KL. So just another quick recheck of the figures. Range, we've got 270 kilometers. Battery, we're at 64%, and KL is 75 kilometers away. And we've arrived back in KL after 80 kilometers of driving with 162 kilometers worth of range left and the battery at 41%. So there you have it then. There's really no such thing as range anxiety, especially with the Ioniq 6. And if you can get hold of a fast DC charger, I reckon you can even legitimately balik kampung from JB to Penang along the way. So what is the concern about? To be honest, I really don't know. And on that note, we've come to the end of today's story. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, drive safe everybody.